growth of America. We can all participate in that regardless of, what level of wealth we have. And you alluded to a lot of it, and that here at Schwab, we've tried to democratize investing, make it easier for everybody to get involved with the markets, to invest, to grow along with our economy. And, whether it be reducing commissions, making it easier to buy mutual funds. Heck, I know what you're referring to, are Schwab stock slices where you can buy sub fractions of a share of a company now. So all good things, all good things. Participate along the growth of America.
Yeah. And yeah, we will definitely talk about Schwab stock slices a little bit later. Again, please ask questions. We challenge you to challenge us. So these are some of the things that we will talk about today, and not necessarily in the order they're presented on the screen, but from left to right. The very first of Schwab's 7 investing principles is start with a plan. And by that we mean a comprehensive financial plan. What are the goals that you're working towards? How do you measure success? And more importantly, once you've defined how you measure success, where are you on the path from here to achieving that success? What are the different products and services that you can have and take advantage of to move you down that road towards success? What are the different types of accounts, and how can you monitor and review them? Research, we'll spend a little bit of time on that today. Hopefully we'll talk more about researching a variety of different products, but we'll take a look at how to research some stocks as well. And lastly, how do you find the market commentary, the investing insights from Schwab experts like our Chief Global Strategist, Jeff Kleintop, and our Chief Investment Strategist, Lizanne Saunders, and our Bond Strategist, Kathy Jones. So let's dive in and get started. But before we dive into Schwab.com, I want to show something. And Robert, I'm going to have you talk through this. Schwab.com-go digital.
Absolutely. So go-digital portion of our website. So you don't even have to log in. You can just go there directly. Schwab.com/go-digital is an area you can go to access a lot of the items that you can self-serve. Okay, whether it be moving money internally at Schwab, externally to Schwab, learning how to use our apps on our phone to make deposits, check your information, potentially even look at your debit card and put a hold on it, see transactions on it, even potentially order a new card. So I would reference this website, this part of the site, on a lot of the ways that you can take care of these issues on your own. So you don't have to call us. You can quickly just go right here and reset a lot of information. Mark, I know you like the videos. I know you like those.
Well, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video is worth a lot more than that. So this is a video on how to submit travel notices if you're going to be traveling, to make sure your debit card is readily available to you. And then some of the mobile app videos, there's just an overview of how to use it. I'll come back to this in a moment, but how you can do online transfers. The Schwab mobile deposit, I know a lot of people have in the past, the traditional way to make a deposit has either been to go into the branch and make a deposit, which is kind of challenging now that branches are closed due to COVID, or to mail in a deposit, which takes several days. Well, the Schwab mobile deposit, both Robert and I use all the time. You literally take a picture of your check, post it to your checking account, or to even you can make your IRA contributions that way, and boom, it's done. So there's some other Schwab.com how-to videos. Some of these things we'll talk about later today. One other thing I wanted to mention with regard to the Go Digital is the security. And Of course, online security is a big issue to many today, and justifiably so. If you click on this link, and we're not going to do it right now in the interest of time, it'll walk you through how Schwab keeps your data safe, keeps your accounts secure. And it outlines something called the Schwab Security Guarantee, which many people aren't even aware of. That's very simple. If your account is hacked, if there are unauthorized trades, unauthorized withdrawals, Schwab will make that whole, period. No questions asked. And we can do that because of some of the internal securities systems that we have in place, as well as the training that our employees get from time to time. And I'm not seeing any questions out there, so somebody write in a question. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. Let us know you're there. Okay, so now let's go over into schwab.com. And here we're going to start with, all right, someone is here. Malvern Lusky in Texas. Can I make a mobile deposit into a trust or a non-personal account? And Robert, I believe the answer to that is yes. If you have the account set up, you can make a deposit there, because one of the first things you'll see on the mobile deposit is which account do you want to deposit this check into. So if you have an account set up, it can go in there. So let's start with the accounts tab, and we're going to work our way through schwab.com from left to right. So in the accounts, we're right now looking at the summary tab here. And you can literally go back as much as 2 years or zoom into a specific period of time, like year to date. Oh boy. Robert, why don't you keep talking while I get that rebooted?
Yeah, so we made that change a couple of years ago where we've given you the view on your account summary page to be able to see a visual history of how the accounts have changed value over time. And we continue to keep on adding additional functionality around that. Because a lot of us, we like the visual aspect of it, and it gives us a quick, easy way to digest that information. So back to you, Mark. Walk us through a little bit of that.
Okay. So here we're looking at the personal value, and this is a graph that shows your year-to-date change literally day by day, and it shows what your change is on the day and percentage. You can compare that to the indexes down below. You can also see what your total personal value is and what the year-to-date change, or actually over any given period. So if I go back to just a 3-month period, that actually switches to a positive. Whereas year-to-date, of course, in most cases, we're below where we were. I can then go to something called the investment income view. And this is relatively new. I think it's less than a year old. But this will show you the investment income from interest on bonds you have in your accounts or dividends from stocks you have in your accounts. You can either look back at 2019, you can look at 2020. It will be highlighted in a lighter blue what has already occurred, and in a darker blue what is projected. Robert, I think your favorite view is this one, right?
Yes, I love, that you toggle onto that next 12-month view, because I think this allows us all to anticipate, hey, what kind of income we have coming in, as you said, through dividend or interest. It allows us to plan what we might need or be able to use our investments for, whether it be spend or additional investments along the way. I love that ability to look forward. It gives us a really good estimate there.
Yeah. Okay, so the next place we can go is to balances, and this will show us all our accounts. Now, this for many people is a totally comprehensive view, and as we dive down into the accounts themselves, of course, there's a total accounts overview up above. But as we dive into the individual accounts down below, when was the major account here? That is the 6053. Okay, so we go down to there. And when we open up a specific account, my balances and then balance details, this is where you can break down all of the different aspects of this particular account, including cash available to trade. And this is a critical thing to be aware of, particularly in retirement accounts. But if you have, in retirement accounts, we need to use what are called settled funds. And that is based on the 2 business day settlement throughout the industry. If you buy a stock today, you don't have to actually post the funds or the funds won't be drawn from your account for 2 business days, so on Tuesday. And if you sell something today, you don't receive those credits. It's not settled, quote unquote, until next Tuesday. So within a retirement account, we need to stick to settled funds available to trade. Yet in a taxable account and one in which you have margin borrowing capability, you actually have the ability to borrow or to invest more than what you have in either available cash or settled funds. Anything you want to add to that particular part, Robert?
No, I think the key thing around this is, we are very straightforward. So make sure you're seeing all the numbers around the account where you can easily access all of it in a ready to use fashion. Just go to the balance page.
Perfect. Okay. So the next is the positions. And by the way, thanks for the questions that are coming in. We're going to pause and get to them here in just a few minutes. So now we're looking at each individual account, and you can see, let's open all. Normally that would be open. And let's just go as far as that. So here are all of the different stocks you have in the account and mutual funds. You can use these sorting mechanisms to sort on any one that you want. So I just clicked on market value, and you'll see a little triangle there. That tells you which column is your sort criteria and which way it's sorted. Now, obviously, this is highest to lowest, but if you have a larger number of positions in here, just remember that the pointy end of the triangle is low values, and the wide end of the triangle is high values. How's that for some high-tech commentary, Robert?
Sometimes just stating the obvious is
Yep,
key. John Madden made a career out of it.
yep. So another thing we can sort on over here is dividend yield and MO, Altria. And if you don't recognize the symbol, just hover your mouse over it and it'll tell you. That provides an 8% dividend yield. And there's a lot of other information that we can look at in here. If I scroll back up to the top, you'll see a little gear and settings. So you see this gear in many different tools within Schwab.com. This allows you to clearly select the information you want to see. Now, if some of this is too much, like say you don't want to see PE ratio, just get rid of it. And then down here, click apply, and there it is.
Hey, Mark,
And
I was
yes,
going to say, Ralph in Florida asked this question, and his question is really this: Can we get granular on investment income by each account? And to me, the answer is yes. Yes, this gives you a great summary for all your accounts where we went through investment income. You can choose, you can choose in the little gearbox which accounts go into the summary. So you could toggle it where you can look at it account by account basis, but we're going to
mhm,
keep it through a theme of where else you can find maybe income and dividend information throughout the Schwab website, because Ralph, it's available in lots of different directions, depending on which one is most important to you at a given time. I think it's knowing where all of this is potentially available. So back on the main page, yes, you can toggle it account by account. A
yeah,
little
we
bit of
can
work
just
there, but you can. Let's go back to your, when you were looking at the positions, Mark, I want to point out, notice one of the columns is dividend yield. So you can look there very quickly at dividend yield within an account to see, hey, there's the yield that you're getting. So they can give you a flavor of the direction of what is held within an account. I'll point a few more as we go along here today.
perfect. Thanks, Robert.
Yep.
I saw that question and I was going to go back to it a little bit. It was great. Uh, portfolio performance, I want to touch briefly on this. This is a tool where you can compare how are you doing to other indexes that you may want to compare your results against. So this will show you, right now we're starting with last 3 months. You can click any of these you want. But as you scroll down, you'll see what your performance is, the return, 6.83 versus what the S&P 500. If you are fairly heavy in bonds, maybe you want to compare more to the aggregate bond index. What cash has done, the 3-month Treasury bill. GSCI is the Goldman Sachs Commodity Index, not having a great year. But this gives you some things you can compare against. There are a lot of other things we can do in here. I think you can look at asset class performance. And if I remember right, that's the one that will show you what percentage you have in the various asset classes. There's a lot more
Correct.
you can do in here. Just play around with it, have some fun. There is no self-destruct button anywhere on schwab.com. It won't blow up on you.
Yeah. The one thing I would point out when, when I talk to a lot of clients are very concerned about performance. And I think there's two issues with being so focused on that. One, it's, well, what kind of risk are you taking to get that performance?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I know you have it shown right there. Yes, our efficiency frontier, risk versus return. Take a look at that, because that gives you an idea of how much risk are you taking within the portfolios to get the performance that you want. And that's called an efficiency frontier. I would say if you are below that frontier, you may want to ask yourself, what are you doing? Maybe you should go talk to somebody to get some help. Um, so that's one aspect. And then the other one is, do you need that index performance? Everybody wants to compare versus the S&P 500. Well, do you need that type of return to accomplish the goals that you have set out for yourself? Maybe you don't. Maybe you need less return to accomplish them, and therefore you can take less risk than what the S&P 500 presents. So to me, that all of those are legitimate questions that I think you need to ask of yourself. And if you have not engaged us as a firm, whether it be in our branch network or by calling our 800 number to get some help planning around what kind of return you need as an individual to accomplish all the goals for yourself, your family, etc., that's the first step you got to take. Don't get caught up so much in performance. Figure out
Mm-hmm.
what you need to have happen.
That is a wonderful point, Robert. I've seen over the years a lot of people who are hyper focused on performance, and then when we actually sit down and talk about their goals, they may already have their goals achieved. So why are you taking a market level of risk? We go through wealth stages in our lives. We grow wealth, and that's when perhaps you want to be more concerned about performance versus an index. Then as we get closer to or have achieved our goals, we preserve that wealth. Maybe time to dial the risk back. Ultimately, we distribute that wealth and when we actually start using it in retirement and so on. And then finally, we ultimately pass that wealth on to those individuals and those charities we deem appropriate. It's something called estate planning. Uh, Robert, you've got a pretty good story on estate planning from history.
Yes. So I'll give you quickly some basics around estate planning. Make sure you know who your beneficiaries are. So I have friends that have had multiple divorces and they still have original spouses and second spouses still as their beneficiaries. That's probably not where they want their assets going in case of their passing. So it's something you always need to check. Make sure you know who your beneficiaries are. Have you talked with somebody how to title your accounts? Those are some of the very basic things you can do for yourself. Hey, Mark, can we go to the history tab real quick?
Yep, that's
So
exactly where I was going next. Thank you.
yeah, so I want to point out in the history tab, we give you 2 years worth of history of all the transactions within an account. And I want to point out something there right on that page. Notice there's a little area called edit filter on the left-hand side. There you go. This is another place where you can get your dividend and information. So notice there's a little area where you can just click on dividend and interest. So you
Yeah,
can
and
look at
what I did
dividends
real
and
quickly is by default, all transactions are selected. Now you could go through and unclick them one at a time, but the easy way is just click all transactions and that unclicks it, and then just select dividends. Go
dividends
down
and
and
click on
apply.
interest because that interest is money coming in too. Let's add that on there.
Okay.
So there we go, hit apply, and then notice our date range. So we can then check our date range. So all would be 2 years. We can do a custom, we can do last 12 months. We can just do we can just do current year. We can just select current year and then hit search, and there you go. Now you've got an account by account, all the dividend interest coming in. You can go quickly take a look at that.
Yep. Thanks, Rob. That's a really good way of keeping with the theme. The statements tab, pretty self-explanatory. This is where you can get downloadable versions of your statements. You can get your tax forms, all that. I won't go into too great a detail there. I do want to spend a little bit of time on the transfer and payments page. Rob, why don't you walk us through this?
Yeah, so this is something that I think most clients, unfortunately, are just not aware of all that they can do as far as moving money online. So in the transfers and payments page, that's the theme, moving money, whether it be an online transfer, either done between two accounts here at Schwab. So you want to move money from one account, maybe your individual account, to your IRA, or your individual account to a joint account. So internal transfers or external transfers, where you want to move money from an outside bank account maybe to your Schwab account, or vice versa. We do those through ACH, or an electronic funds transfer. You can set those up right on here under our transfer and payments area. So notice right to the right, it says link an external bank account. You can do that right in here. And then you can go in here and move the money as you see fit. Okay. Below that, if you ever do need to send a wire, you can set up the wire instructions right here electronically. Below that, if you wish to set up bill pay on one of your accounts, I love that. That way you don't have to spend money on stamps, don't have to look for the stuff in the mail. You can just pay your bills electronically, very easy. And then finally below that, we have two areas. One, if you wish to transfer an account, say you have an account at another firm that you're tired of looking at that information because you see all the great things we do here. You can just consolidate to make your financial life easier. You can transfer that in. So you can complete our transfer of account form, and we will take care of pulling all the information and all the positions into Schwab for you. And then finally, old school. I like how you always describe it, Mark, old school. If you actually do need the physical check, you can request a check right from your account, and we will mail it out to you.
Perfect. And there's a question actually, we'll pause to answer several questions right now, but David in Oregon asked how you can look at gains and losses, unrealized or realized gains and losses for a specific stock. And normally on your screen, that will show up right here. In this case, there's only one security in this account because it's a demo account online. There's one security that has a cost basis, uh, and further on over to the right, I think that would show the gain or loss. But that's one of the things you can put into the settings. Uh, Again, because this is a demo account, particularly in the one where we have most, it's the cost basis NA. But you can see that this will default to unrealized gains and losses, but you can view realized gains and losses over a given period of time. Anything else you want to look at on the accounts tab?
The only other thing I was going to say on there is we have this, can a family member who is
Yeah.
not a holder of an account wire money into your account? The answer is yes. So in that transfers and payments area, Mark, let's go back to our transfers and payments area. So the answer is yes. All you have to do is give your family member the instructions for sending money to you. And down there at the bottom of the page, notice there's a little link. Mark just clicked on it called incoming wires. So there is the incoming wire instruction. So if somebody's going to be sending you money, whether it be as a direct deposit or notice above, Mark, we have the domestic wire instructions. So we have the information right there where you can give them the information on how to get money to you.
Mm-hmm. Robert, why don't you talk about bill pay? And Ralph in Florida asked about that.
Yeah. So the question is really around, does Schwab work with Quicken Bill Pay? I'm going to tell you right now. My answer is I don't know because I'm not familiar with what Quicken Bill Pay is.
Okay,
My thought would
that's why I was
my
asking you to
thought.
answer because I don't know either.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with saying I don't know, but
True
the one thing
story.
I do know is I know where to go to get that answer. So my
Hmm.
thought would be on that, Ralph. I would give us a call on our 800 number. Notice right up top, Mark, we have a little phone call. We have the little phone button up top. So if you click on the little phone, you can see, click on the little drop down. There you go. And
It's
we
not
give the,
working. It must be limit the
must be
limit
the
for this
dummy
one.
account. But if you call
Yep.
us on our 800-435-4000 line, I would call one of our representatives on that and ask about how we fit within Quicken Bill Pay on that, Ralph. I just don't know the answer to that, but that's where I would start with trying to get the answer around that.
Okay. And two other questions I want to get to. Lamar in Maryland asked our heat map for sectors. We'll actually get to that as we move into the research. And then Apollon, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, in Illinois. What's the best way to save money and build credit with Schwab? Well, let's talk about the best way to save money. And that literally would just be to set up a periodic online transfer from your bank or checking account. And you can actually move things in from an external account. If you have that set up here, they actually don't have one, but it's very easy to do. And that's probably the quickest way to start building money. And we're going to go over to the trade. So the first place I'm going to go is the trade tool, where is our brand new Schwab stock slices. So you could move, say, 50 or $100, every other pay period or whatever period you want. And then you can choose how to invest in any of the up to 10 different stocks in the S&P 500. So even if you only bring in, say, $50, you could buy $50 worth of Amazon, which is trading at over 2,600 bucks a share. You can give that as a gift, make it part of your overall plan. One of the things that was very popular as you and I were growing up was called dividend reinvestment plans, where you open an account at a company and contributed 10, 15, $25 a month to several different accounts. They reinvested the dividends. Well, now with Schwab stock slices and no commissions, you can do that here. So Schwab stock slices, you can select a company. Since I mentioned Amazon, I guess we'll go with the Seattle theme today, Rob. We normally do Indianapolis. Uh, so yeah, Amazon's 2,500. You could literally invest $50 into that and purchase part of a share. We got to move it along. We actually spent a little bit more time on accounts than we normally did.
Yeah,
So you're
let's just point out maybe, the whole concept of trade is you can trade virtually anything at Schwab, whether it be a stock, an ETF, an option, mutual fund, a bond, CD, futures. And maybe we spend some time today, Mark, on just showing that there is a trade ticket for everything. Maybe we
mhm.
just skip and go right to our research. Let's show some of the ways to get
Actually,
some of the
there's one thing.
information.
One thing
Oh,
I did want to
sure,
cover on here, and that's the watch
sure.
list. Because if you just want to keep an eye on, hence the term watch list, you can set up several different watch lists here, and you literally come in here and every single day or whenever you want to, here's the latest price, the bid ask, today's range, the 52-week range. And I know that some folks will literally, talk about old school, call into schwab.com every day just to get a few quotes. It's very simple to just get this right here, and you don't have to sit on hold. By the way, anywhere within the trade, actually, I think anywhere within the website, uh, now we'll go back to the Indianapolis theme, Eli Lilly. You can just type in a symbol down here, and there's the quote. You can get an instant quote on anything that's not part of a watch list. Okay, so let's go to the research tab, and I want to start with, I'm just going to click on the word research. That will take us to our research market. Um, and here's the overview of markets. Uh, Stocks chipping away at yesterday's tumble. So there's the news on the day. A couple of places I want to point out is Market Insight. And this is where you can find the most recent commentary from the Schwab experts like Lizanne Saunders. And here's one that was just written yesterday. Schwab Market Perspective Mixed Signals. It's very easy to see all of those. You can find also anything with regard to investment strategies, retirement planning, markets and economy. Just play around in here and see what you can find. If we want to go to research stocks,
Hey,
normally
Mark,
we
I'm going to
spend,
pause here for a second. Can we
yep,
go back to the markets page? I
yep,
love the market insight area. I get asked that. What's Schwab's thought on this? Market insight is where we publish all of that. But to the left of market insight, a little bit is an area called industries.
yes.
And if we click on industries, this is where you can see all of these sector data. So if you want to see how the different sectors are performing, year to date, month to date, get opinion on different sectors. So you can quickly take a lot of information right there on the sector data. So
Yeah,
I
and
think to
actually,
me,
thanks for catching that because I had missed going back to the question. This isn't exactly a heat map, but Lamar, this is as close as we're going to get on the sectors. And you can sort just by, again, clicking on this, sort once. Now the best performing sector in the last month is industrials, and it always keeps the S&P 500 up at the top. Additionally, you can read not only Schwab sector views, but the Ned Davis Research sector commentary and the Morningstar sector commentary. Thanks for pointing that out.
yeah.
One of the things we'll talk about here, if I go to research stocks, there is a boatload of things we can do here. Normally we go a lot farther into this, but particularly today, I think we spend a lot more time on the accounts. There is a screener that you can use to find companies that meet certain criteria that you define, like dividend oriented or growth oriented. And you can save screens that you create so you don't have to recreate them. Or you can look at some of the most popular screens like dividend growth or uh, near price highs. Once you find a given stock, and let's go back to, let's look at Costco. Let's stay with the Seattle theme today. So now when you type in a symbol, the summary page for that stock gives you a little bit of information in a lot of areas. So you can see, first of all, a graph going up to 5 years. You can see the data on the stock, average volume, and so on. You can get a snapshot on earnings and valuations, the dividend and dividend yield. On the left-hand side, all the recent news. On the right-hand side, the summary of not only Schwab equity ratings, but our third-party research as well, how it is performing, within its 52-week range relative to the U.S. and global sector and so on, ETFs that own this company, and in the odd chance you've never heard of Costco, or more importantly, for a company you haven't heard of, the business summary: who are they, what do they do, and where are they located? Now, we won't go into this in any greater depth today, but you can find more detailed charts, more fundamental information about the earnings. If you're so inclined, looking at the financial statements. One tab I will point out very quickly is the dividends tab, because this has been really improved over the years. And Costco is kind of an interesting example because they have several of these special dividends: $7 a share, $5 a share, $7 a share. So it will show the dividend history overlaid on the stock price on the background. And again, a lot of more information here. Let's see how we're doing. We got about 7 minutes. I will touch real briefly on bonds and fixed income. And this gets you into what's called bond source. Now, Robert and I are the regional investment strategists, and there's 10 of us across the country who do this role. but there is also a regional bond specialist who supports every single Schwab office. I know, Robert, both you and I are fairly fluent in bond, but I'll say, I'll point on my own behalf, our regional bond specialist has forgotten more about bonds than I know. So if you wanted to find a 2-year CD, this is literally a matrix. So bank CDs, maturities, if you wanted to compare that to say a 2-year AA rated corporate or a 2-year AA rated municipal tax-free bond, that's where you could go, and you can just literally click on any of these, and this will show you our available inventory in 2-year CDs. You can choose which one you want and then click buy if you so wanted to trade. Anything else you want to cover in an abbreviated version of research?
No, I think we touched on it all. The key, I would say, is go in there. You have to look around at a lot of the information. Let me just address two quick questions that came in. Can you import a list of stocks into our watch list? Unfortunately, the answer is no. You need to type them in. And our watch lists on our Schwab website, I believe, are limited to 40 symbols within each watch list, but you can have multiple different watch lists. And it's always nice, Mark, when we get our own clients that are watching to answer questions that our other clients are asking. So Ray, thank you. Ray, thank you for answering Ralph's question about Quicken. And Ray said Schwab.com interacts very nicely with Quicken. So Ralph, there you go. There's your answer. Thank you, Ray, for answering that for Ralph on our behalf.
Okay. So I want to give an overview of the products, and really the highlight here, literally just all of the various investment products that you can look at, mutual funds, ETFs, and so on. So stock slices again, bonds and CDs, options, futures, global investing, margin, cash, and even annuities. Schwab has done into the annuity space the same thing that we've done with stock and mutual fund commissions, crushed fees and dramatically enhanced liquidity. If you're considering retirement, these are all of the different types of retirement accounts, and you can just select them one at a time. Robert, our best kept secret is?
You got it, that we have a bank. So our bank offerings, and that stems from checking account, savings account, to mortgages, to home equity lines of credit, to pledged asset lines of credit, are one of the best things out there. I know our checking account has consistently been voted the best checking account out there offered by any bank. From the fact we don't charge you for checks, we rebate back all your ATM fees, regardless of what ATM you are using anywhere in the world. And on top of that, I would give you this. This is a quick takeaway. If you have a mortgage currently and you have not talked to somebody about refinancing it, please talk to somebody. Give somebody a call here at Schwab about your mortgage to say, should I be refinancing this? Because it can only help you. Potentially, you can get yourself into a lower rate. I remember on the bond page, we saw all those interest rates all being very low. Okay, that doesn't help our fixed income investments, but it helps any money that we are borrowing, specifically on a mortgage. See if we could refinance you into a lower rate mortgage to help you save lots of interest payments over the long haul.
Perfect. And again, we're going to have to hustle here because we're a little bit behind schedule. I do want to talk about some of the investment management offers that we have here. Uh, Totally personal opinion, individual investments are not rocket science, but it does take time, interest, and discipline consistently. If you find that you don't have the time, your interest is waning, or the hard one is the discipline, right? It may behoove you to consider a manager. And when you hire a manager, I would contend you're purchasing is a clearly defined investment process that manager executes consistently on your behalf. And you're hiring them to not so much beat what the markets can do, but beat what we could do individually if left to our own devices are inconsistencies sprinkled with a large dose of greed and fear. So consider that if you find the time, interest, or discipline lacking. Guidance. Actually, I want to come back to this and talk very briefly about service here. Normally, we would spend a lot more time on this section talking about portfolio and alerts and so on. I do want to point out here that you can't, this is another place where you can contact us, find a financial consultant, open accounts, update your account information, and so on. The account groups, this is where you can give accounts nicknames instead of having to refer to your account number. But finally, the guidance tab, we'll wrap up on this in about 1.5 minutes. These are where, this is the place you can go to get help and some guidance on all of the different financial planning topics we've mentioned today. Retirement, saving for college, and what are some of the different accounts you can have. Now, I know, Robert, you just had a kid that graduated from high school and it's her first year in college, right?
Oh, Mark,
Completed.
how time flies. She just finished her second year in college. That's my youngest that's just finished that. Crazy, huh?
Oh man, I am so far behind. It's not funny, but you know, you've had personal experience with all of this. Estate
Oh,
planning, we talked about that real briefly. And then there's also, particularly, I want to say a big welcome to all our new clients from USAA. This is a place where you can go to get up to speed very quickly on all the different things at Schwab. And finally, if you've experienced any of the major events in life, you've just retired and you're changing jobs, getting married, having kids, you had an inheritance. On the other one end of the spectrum, getting divorced or losing a relative. There's some key things to consider here. Anything you want to add before we wrap up, Robert?
I would leave us all with this thought is, the depth and breadth of what information is available on our Schwab website, schwab.com, is tremendous. Go in there, start hunting around. When in doubt, in the upper right-hand corner, there's a search function. Type in what you're looking for. It will start pulling up all that information that you need. So
How did I
never
forget the
forget the
search
search
function?
function. So I live by that search function. So
Yep. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. Robert and I will be back again next Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, 5 a.m. Hawaiian. But up next is Senior Derivative Trading Strategist Nina Milivots, and she'll be talking about creating credit spreads to iron condors. I'll be back on Monday at 1 Eastern for charting the markets, and Robert will be back Wednesday at 4 Eastern for one of my favorite topics, behavioral finance. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe, be healthy.
Price to earnings ratio, or PE, is a way to value a company by comparing the price of its stock to its earnings. The PE equals the price of a share of stock divided by the company's earnings per share. It tells you how much you're paying for each dollar of earnings. Low or high PE ratios aren't inherently good or bad. When a PE ratio is low, it could mean that investors are losing confidence, selling shares and driving the price down, while earnings hold steady. The PE could also be low if the company's earnings grow quickly, before investors notice and start buying shares, driving the price up. Similarly, a high PE could result if investor excitement drives the share price up, while earnings remain low. Or that high PE may be justified if the company is poised for growth. Make sure you research companies carefully. Compare the company's PE to others in its industry, and analyze any inconsistencies. PE is a complementary tool. Use it with other factors and information when evaluating a company's stock price.
Hello and welcome to the Quick Start video for layouts in Schwab's Street Smart Edge platform. Layouts in Street Smart Edge are different views you can create to help organize your workspace. They are conveniently displayed in tabbed format with up to 8 layouts able to be open at one time. For example, rather than trying to fit all the research tools you use plus trading and account information on one screen, you can create one research layout and one trading layout and flip between the two. The possibilities for organizing your work area in Street Smart Edge are extensive and designed to meet the needs of a variety of trading styles. With Street Smart Edge, you can create your own layout or choose from our predefined layouts. One predefined layout is the account layout. This layout provides tools to help traders monitor their accounts and includes 2 account details tools showing order status and balances, a My Positions watch list, symbol hub, and messages. Another predefined layout is the Screener Research layout. Designed for seeking and analyzing potential trade opportunities, this layout includes the following tools: Screener Plus, News, Research, and Notes. The last predefined layout is the Trade layout. Designed to help make the trading process efficient, this layout includes the all-in-one trade ticket, news, chart, watch list, account details, and messages. Once your layout is the size that you want, add tools from the Launch Tools menu. Remove tools by clicking the X in the upper right corner of the tool. Expand or contract the size of a tool by moving your mouse over the edge or corner of the tool until you get a double arrow. Then click and drag until it's the size you want. You can move tools by clicking in the title bar of the tool and dragging it to another spot in the layout. Edges of the tools are magnetic and will snap together when they are placed close to another tool. What about linking? With Street Smart Edge's tool link icons, when a security is changed or loaded into one tool, all other tools with the same link icon will automatically update to reflect the symbol change. Here's a tip for those of you that use multiple monitors. You can undock layout tabs from the primary window by clicking on a tab and dragging it outside of the primary window area. Let's talk about saving layouts. Whether you started a layout from scratch or you tweaked an existing predefined layout, you may rename the layout and save to either the local computer or to Schwab's server. Remember, up to 8 layouts can be saved to the Schwab servers. This concludes the Quick Start Guide for layouts for Street Smart Edge. Please check out the Learning Center and the online help manual, both of which are located under the Help menu. Additionally, you can visit the calendar on schwab.com/live for a schedule of upcoming live platform videos. Thank you for choosing Charles Schwab and have a great day.
You could think getting commission-free trades is as good as it gets, but you know better. At Schwab, free means more. You get commission-free online trades, plus quality trade executions on our powerful platform. All from the only firm that offers a satisfaction guarantee. Expect more from your firm. Trade up to Schwab, the better place for traders.
Average true range, or ATR, is a technical indicator that can tell you how volatile a stock has been on average over a specified period. ATR is particularly useful for setting exit levels as part of your risk management strategy. It can also give you a sense of how strong price moves are, which is helpful if you're trying to identify the start of a trend. In short, ATR takes a holistic look at a stock's price moves over a set period and smooths them out into a single number expressed as a dollar amount. ATR is based on the concept of true range, which is basically a way of measuring a stock's daily trading range that accounts for gap openings, which are when a stock opens sharply higher or lower relative to the previous day's closing price. Why is it important to account for gaps? Here's an example. Imagine 2 stocks that both close at $50 a share. Overnight, stock A gaps higher and opens at $60 a share, while Stock B opens close to its $50 close the day before. Stock A then goes on to trade within a range of $3 between its daily high and low, while Stock B trades with a wider range of $5. Traders who only look at the stock's daily trading range might say that Stock B is more volatile because it experienced wider price swings that day. But this fails to take into account Stock A's $10 gap up overnight. True range allows for gap openings like this by comparing the day's highs and lows with the previous day's levels, giving you a better sense of how much the stock's price has actually moved over time. Averaging out a stock's daily true range values over a defined period gives you its ATR. The default period on many trading platforms is 14 days. Some traders also use 20 or 22 days, as there are generally between 20 and 22 trading days in a month. Before getting into how to use ATR, there are a few things to note. First is that ATR is based on absolute price changes, not percentage changes. Accordingly, higher price stocks typically have higher ATR values than lower price stocks. After all, a $10 move in a $100 stock is less significant than a $10 move in a $20 stock. Second, changing ATR values indicate changes in volatility. If a stock's ATR is rising, it means volatility is increased over the period, either because of a sharp rise or a sharp fall. ATR doesn't tell you which direction a stock has been moving, just that it has been moving. If the ATR is shrinking, it means the stock has been less volatile over the period. So how do traders use average true range? Some traders use ATR to help them set stop-loss levels. Say a trader sees a stock trading near a support level and the stock has a 20-day ATR of $2.25. They may place a stop-loss order a bit more than $2.25 below support so that a one-day move through the support might not trigger the order. Remember, too, that there is no guarantee an order will be executed at or near your stop price. Traders can also use a strategy sometimes called a chandelier exit, which uses ATR to set trailing stops and is designed to help traders ride a trend while managing the risk of an early exit in the event of a temporary reversal. A common approach is to set a trailing stop 3 22-day ATRs below each new high in an uptrending stock or over each new low in a downtrending one. With a trailing stop, the stop price can tick up or down to account for changes in the stock's price. Then, if the stock changes direction, the stop price will freeze at its new level, and if the stock then hits the new stop price, it becomes a market order. So, if a stock has an ATR of $2, then you would set your trailing stop $6 above or below the current market price. The idea is to have a buffer that is 3 times the current volatility of the stock. As a result, when volatility, as measured by ATR, is high, you have a larger buffer which can give a stock more room to swing. So be sure you're comfortable with that. When it is low, your buffer is smaller. Of course, whether 3 ATRs works for you will depend on your risk tolerance. If you're trading an uptrend, you might consider selling a long position if the stock's price falls below your chandelier exit. Similarly, if you're trading a downtrend, you might consider buying back to short position if the stock rises above your exit. Finally, many traders may use ATR to gauge the enthusiasm behind a stock move. Strong moves, either up or down, are often accompanied by expanding ATR values. This is especially true at the beginning of a trend. For example, a break of support or resistance with an increase in ATR tends to validate the move. To learn more about technical indicators and how to use them, watch the other videos in this series and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
You could think getting commission-free trades is as good as it gets, but you know better. At Schwab, you get commission-free trades and quality trade executions from the only firm that offers a satisfaction guarantee. Schwab, the better place for traders.
Okay. Bounced a trade idea off my firm. Same old lines. I mean, show me some technical indicators, proprietary research, something.
That's why I like Schwab. They help look out for your blind spots.
Come on, Johnny, you got this, buddy.
Speaking of blind spots.
It's time to trade up. Schwab helps you see the full picture with powerful intel and trading specialists who get it. Plus, get commission-free online stock, ETF, and options trades. Schwab, the better place for traders.
Live from Schwab Studios, this is Schwab Live Daily.
Welcome back to Schwab Live Daily. I'm Nina Milovatz, and today I'm going to be focusing on creating credit spreads to iron condors. Now, first, before we get started, I actually would like to find out, what type of trader are you? Do you currently trade stocks? Or maybe you're more of an investor. Do you invest in stocks? Do you trade or invest in ETFs? Now, if you are an options trader, what types of option strategies have you done in the past? Are you typically speculating, buying calls if you're bullish, buying puts if you're bearish, or are you creating different types of debit spreads, buying a call spread, buying a put spread? Now, I would also like to find out if we have any option sellers out there. So do we have traders that like to sell naked options, which means you just sell an option all by itself, maybe sell naked calls, naked puts, or maybe you trade cash secured puts. Maybe you've done that in the past. Now, there might be times when instead of selling naked options, some traders might want to turn to limit their risk, might want to definitely turn to credit spreads, selling a call spread or selling a put spread. So that's what I'd like to find out. Now, we might have some traders that from time to time might be buying straddles and buying strangles if they're looking for big movement. The problem when you do buy those straddles and strangles, you do have, you do run the risk that you lack a lot of movement. So let's find out if we do have those traders out there, if they're buyers of options or buying spreads, or do you like to sell straddles or strangles? And if you do, instead, we're going to turn to creating these credit spreads. And then if you think that the stock's going to stay in a range, well, that's when the iron condor can come into play. So today we're going to be focusing on options. Options carry a high level of risk and they're not suitable for all investors. Before you open an options account, please carefully review the options disclosure document. It's called the Characteristics and Risks of Standardized Options. That link is available on the bottom of this webpage. So please scroll to the very bottom, click on that link, and you can save it for future reference. Now, most of today's session actually is going to be a live demo. We'll take a look at some charts, some options chains, and actually, I'm going to have our attendees pick the underlying that we're going to take a look at. And we're going to take a look at, actually, we'll be taking a look at the tech's 5 biggest companies out there. That's what we're going to be focusing on. And I'm going to ask our attendees for an opinion if you're bullish or bearish on any of these 5 really big name tech stocks. And that way we can create some different strategies. I want you to put on your market making cap and give me an opinion on these different stocks. Now, anything that I share with you today, it's being provided for informational purposes only. It's not intended to portray any type of recommendation to buy or sell any particular security or to put on any strategy. It's just so that you get more familiar with the concepts of creating spreads and get more familiar with how to use these different options related tools that are available that are available on Street Smart Edge and also some tools available on schwab.com. Now, if you would like the slides for today's presentation, they are available. If you go to the upper right-hand corner, go to Resources. Once you click on it, it will actually just take you straight down to a page to our PDF library. All right, so first, for those traders out there who maybe like to sell options, sell naked calls, or sell naked puts, or let's say sell cash secured puts, there might be times when instead of doing that strategy, which is taking on significant or unlimited risk, you might want to button up that risk by creating a spread instead. Now, overall, what is a spread? If you talk to different traders, they'll give you different definitions. But typically, when you put on a spread, it means you're buying one option and you're offsetting the risk by selling another option. Now, with a vertical spread, we're doing it all in the same month or the same expiration. We're buying one strike price and we're selling another in the same expiration. Now, we're doing, of course, the strategy all with the same underlying. This is not across different underlyings. And we are using the same quantity. So if we're buying one, we're selling one. If we're buying 5, we're selling 5. And this particular strategy is known as a vertical spread. If you're buying a spread, it's known as a debit spread. The option that you're buying costs more than the option that you're selling. So that option is closer to where the stock is trading, that the option that you're buying. And if you're selling options, if you're creating a credit spread, the option that you're selling has a higher premium than the offsetting option that you are buying. The thing is, with these credit spreads, we are typically taking on more risk than we can potentially make. But it does depend upon the strike prices that you select and where the stock is trading. But typically, people who are creating credit spreads are looking at selling out of the money spreads. Now, why do people consider this strategy? Well, what we're doing is we are limiting our risk more. We're limiting our risk. We're not taking that unlimited or significant risk. We're limiting our risk by purchasing an option that does protect the strategy from getting too out of hand. Now, this particular strategy can be bearish if we're selling a call spread. It can also be bullish if we're selling a put spread. And with any spread, if you're selling the spread, you ideally would like it to be worth less money. So if you're first selling the spread, the way you can make money is that the spread becomes worth less money. With these vertical spreads, how does a spread become worth less money? Well, we're dealing with typically out of the money spreads. Simply by the stock sitting there and moving through time, the spread can decay. So we're looking to take advantage of time decay. We're also looking to take advantage of what we're hoping is maybe there's a drop in volatility. That would be good for these out of the money spreads that we're dealing with. Now, because we're taking in a credit, this can be considered an income generating strategy. And I'll talk about the risks and rewards about how you could set up these different credit spreads. So let's go live. Here we go. So yesterday, Thursday's market plunge, many can look back and say, well, a good portion of that plunge, maybe it can be attributed to the fact that there was an increase in COVID-19 cases. So there's some concern that, maybe there's a second wave of the virus that could be starting soon. And according to Johns Hopkins University, US coronavirus cases have topped 2 million. So that could be one of the reasons. But a lot of the other information has been out there for a while. FactSet is saying that for the second quarter, earnings across the board in the S&P 500 overall, they expect to see earnings down year over year for this quarter over 40%. And, you know, as now there's been a lot of euphoria over the past 50 days. We've had the biggest run up in 50 days. And there's been a lot of euphoria because there's optimism that we can get through this, that the economy will soon be, and it is in many places, opening up and people will be getting back to work. But our jobs number was better than expected last Friday, but we still have millions of people unemployed. These, remember, just at the beginning of the year, we had the lowest unemployment in 50 years at 3.5%. And now those numbers, they were expecting near 20%. And now it's around the 15. Some are saying if they recalibrate those numbers over 16% level, so very high. But there's hope that maybe the worst is yet over. So we had that drop yesterday, and the thing is, if we take a look at here, let me show you a watch list. This is what I wanted to talk about. So yesterday, tech's biggest 5 companies lost $270 billion yesterday. And yesterday's plunge was actually the worst day since March 16th. So yesterday, the Dow was down 6.9%, and the S&P 500, that was what we were just looking at, was down 5.9%. Let me zoom in a little bit. You could see that the S&P 500 is still below the 10-day, and yesterday closed below the 20-day, and today it's bounced back up above that. It's hovering right at that 20-day level. All right. So I thought, because a lot of traders are very interested in technology, these are some of the most actively traded stocks. I thought we could pick one of the stocks listed here, or maybe go through a few if I do get some opinion. So are you interested in me demoing how to do bullish or bearish credit spreads on Facebook, maybe Google, Amazon, Apple, or Facebook? So these are the 5 most valuable tech companies. And you can see that I put the market cap here. Google joined the ranks in April of last year of having a market cap over $1 trillion. And you could see Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft are all in there. Now, Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg is probably, trying to join those levels, but you could see that its market cap is not close to a trillion just yet. Now, year to date, we could see which ones are up the most. Amazon is up year to date 38%. Over the past month, you could see